Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Today we have some technical analysis due for the SPY cues, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta, looking at GME and AMC as well. Seeing a bounce overall in the market right now, which is a very good thing because volatility was not able to curl back up on this 2 hour just yet. We still have some time left. We're still close to crossing, so we have to pay attention to it for the time being, but we will see what is here to happen today after we get some price action. As we go over to the SPY and the Qs, we notice those 2 hours did cross up. These 30 minutes did cross back down, but we were paying attention to any potential divergences. So in this area, we just had some reversal signals that look like they could complete at some time. They still need to confirm this as some kind of higher low because we still have the opportunity to head lower to create that divergence down by these daily expected moves. So if you need the daily expected moves, 526.74 to the upside for the SPY, and we do have 510.58 to the downside for the SPY as well. Looking at the Qs, you have 443.72 to the upside, and you have 425.82 to the downside. So we're already approaching a daily expected move early on. Remember though, if that is going to see something crazy, hey, we could see some upside. Just a quick mention, the courses down in the description are still 90% off for the whole month of August. We're getting closer and closer to the month of August being over, right? You only have about 20 days, 23 days left to get those courses for just $100 before that price goes up. For the technical analysis course, $50 for the swing trading course. So overall, what we're paying attention to, seeing if volatility could turn up on a 2 hour. It did not, it rejected. So now we have to see if things start to curl up into positive territory. That's really going to help us out going forward. If this is going to solidify itself as some kind of higher low, well, then we have to beat this high and end up here. And we do have a daily expected move that could prove to be some resistance. So we'll pay attention from here. Looking through, we just notice a lot of things starting to bounce. We'll see if these things are able to cross back up. One to pay attention to, Nvidia for sure. If that one crosses up, we can see some positivity. Tesla as well. If that one curls up, we can see some positivity. Tesla has the most implied volatility out of pretty much any stock for the whole month of July, if you don't, hold it up to GME and AMC. So I would really be paying attention to Tesla and Nvidia for some solid moves. I think Nvidia could be one that actually sees some upside if you're able to curl up. And there we go. We open up. We are up towards our little sell zone. This will be the first point of resistance for Nvidia. On the Patreon, we will be giving out the daily expected moves for Friday tonight. So if you want those on your charts for Friday, the expiration, that would be very, very good for you. Seeing here that the SPY early on trying to curl up on this 30-minute. Solid behavior so far. We just got to see if this is going to be some kind of big move to the upside, because yesterday we ended down, right? Just like we ended down here. 2 days ago we ended down. We went up towards that daily expected move and then we gave it up. So we're hoping that doesn't happen again. If you're wanting to be bullish, if you're bearish, then you're probably hoping for that. So for the most part though, we see this thing happening here, right? We see how close it is to the center line. We see the RSI trying to cross their center line. So a lot of your momentum is going to say, hey, if you close outside of here, you can see a bigger upward move from 2 hour charts. So I would be paying attention to that. Looking at volatility early on, seeing that cross back down on the 30 minutes, still positive. So we need to pay attention to it this morning. See if we're able to curl back up, curl up that 2 hour at some point. Looks like if we scroll down to GME, it's seeing some potential upside as well. Just looks like the market at this point, doesn't it, right? It bottoms out, comes up, curls back down, and now we can see that upside. So we need that to curl up into positive territory. Looking over at AMC as well, we see that that one might need to curl up into positive territory. Now, another one to pay attention to is going to be, I think IWM actually looks like it could bottom out and see a good move as those yields have dropped off. So we'll pay attention to IWM. If that thing can curl up into positive territory, hey, we have a move set up for possibly going to 218 by tomorrow. But for the most part, I would just treat, there's a lot of time left in the day, so a lot can happen before we actually see this thing curl up, right? This could still be a work in progress, and then we see that curl up towards the end of the week. We'll pay attention to it for you, but as far as it goes, everything looks pretty green, doesn't it? Pretty green on the right side of your screen. GME seeing that potential upside. Nvidia is starting to climb a little bit too. Let's see if that can see that solid move. How you guys doing this morning? You got your coffee ready? Another day in the casino. Hope you guys are doing all right. We're doing good, Trevor. Doing good. BRCC espresso with cream, 200 milligrams caffeine. Damn. Folks getting 2-3 jobs to be a part of the great economy. Yeah, that's pretty much you're describing me in a nutshell too. I'm not selling them at the bell. I'm seeing if this will confirm if it has more work to be done. I do have a longer out expiration for NVIDIA. So if that does have some more work to be done, this divergence can go a little bit deeper. I wouldn't be surprised. And then the other one I am paying attention to is Tesla. Right now, I would like a V shape for now. I would like a V shape for now. I don't necessarily want the market to crash. The only reason I would want the market to crash is because of AMC and GME. That's the only reason I would want it to crash, because then you have margins that could be in trouble. You have liquidity, you have collateral that's all in trouble. So AMC and GME have a good chance to see something crazy. That's the only reason I would really want V shape or some kind of crash. V shape is more so, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because V-shape can convince a lot of retail like, oh, we're going to be good forever now, and then they buy at the top. I don't like that, but I do like the fact that that means, hey, we're probably not going to see, you know, some kind of World War III. We're probably not going to see some kind of civil war. We're probably not going to see anything like that. But as far as it goes for how I think logically in my mind, I would love to have the deflationary event so that things can get cheaper for people. But I know that will cause unemployment to rise. And when unemployment rises, we see some suffering overall from the humanity side of things. So I don't like those things. We're kind of in a tough spot here, and that's all because they've allowed the debt system to get so out of control. The spending from our current administration is out of control, and that is what is really causing this. I just looked at a inflation post, someone talking about the inflation of gas prices and things like that, and they were talking about how it's so-and-so's fault, it's so-and-so's fault, and every answer I see is just dead wrong. The answer is they have pumped money into the system, and by they, I mean the Fed. The Fed has pumped money into the system, and this administration has really used that to a T. They were supposed to stop doing that in June of 2021, but because of the new administration, they got rid of everything Donald Trump did, and they allowed the craziness to continue. So I'm stuck in a hard spot for my mentality about things, and I think that's perfectly fine. I just need to make sure to try to do the best I can with what's in front of me and see if I can make this in a way benefit the people around me, right? Make some money and then use that money to benefit the people around me. That's more my mentality here. This move is a drop in the ocean. Exactly. The actual problem is when all of this unravels. The actual problem is when these monthlies start to turn over, start to go negative. That's when you're actually going to start to be seeing the craziest stuff you've probably ever seen happen. You're going to probably see bank failures, a housing crisis, a dot-com style bubble with the AI bubble. You're going to see a lot once this actually starts to turn down. Once this on the SPY actually starts to turn down with the divergence, that's what it is. So we still have potential to move higher for a couple of months, but once this actually does confirm down, it's a bad sign. So the fact that we're seeing a red bar on the monthly scale right now is where we're just, we need to pay attention to it. We need to see that thing turn down, because when this does turn down, that could mean months and months of bad things, but it also could mean deflation, which makes things at the grocery store better. It is probably better for the people to experience the deflationary event. The only problem with my thinking there is we will see unemployment keep going up, and that's not a good thing. You can't benefit from anything. You can't benefit from lower prices if you don't have any money coming in whatsoever. I think there's going to be multiple events happening before the election. I think we're going to see most likely multiple, almost like black swan-like events, but not black swan events maybe for the market, more just crazy things. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, and last time I said this, I know it happened over the weekend, don't expect it this time, but I wouldn't be surprised for another assassination attempt soon, or something else to take politics out, like creating a COVID 2.0 to put out there to really cause some fear and unrest. I think that they need that fear in order to really convince people like, hey, this is the best thing for you, is for us to keep pumping money into the system. Maybe that's World War III. Who knows? They use wars to go into more debt all the time. So it's a freaky time. But yeah, that's what I'd really be paying attention to. But for now, for today, right, in the near term, we got to just pay attention to little 30-minute charts. Just saw a video about monkeypox. Great. Yeah, I heard there was a country. I read this and I thought, and I'm just like, God, this is the problem. There's a country in Europe. I can't remember which one it was, but apparently they said that there were cows in like South America or something like that that a couple of them got the bird flu. And so this country in Europe forced all of their people, even though there was not one case of bird flu anywhere with their cattle, with anything, they still forced them to all get a new bird flu vaccine for humans or something. And I was just like, here we go. So if it's monkeypox, whatever it is, I think that's what's coming. And the thing is, that's where I have common sense. I'm a pretty healthy guy. I'll say pretty healthy. I don't like eat the healthiest. I try to when I'm thinking about it, but overall I work out consistently. I'm a healthy person. That's why I did not get the COVID vaccines. I was like, I just did my research. I saw that it didn't really affect me or even the people that I was interacting with. That's the only thing I did. I didn't go visit my grandma or something like that when COVID was really spiking. And guess what? It ended up going through her she lived in one of those communities. It ended up going through her community anyway, and not from someone from the outside, really. It just happened to happen, and then it spread like wildfire. So it's gonna hit the most vulnerable people, most likely, no matter what you do. So to clamp down on people's rights, I'm not for that in any way. So I'm just like, if I'm a healthy person and I see something that makes sense, then I'll do it. But when it doesn't make sense, I'm gonna sit and ask questions. And I'm kind of glad I never got the vaccine, because I feel better than I ever have, like pretty much right now. Not to hate on anyone for getting a vaccine. I'm just saying, just ask questions and do what you think is best for yourself. That's what it is. That's how I am about everything. Do what is best for yourself and your family. Take that into consideration. Make a decision based on that. Don't log on to Twitter and have someone else do the thinking for you. Do real research and then figure out if that's what you think you should do for yourself. And that's being an American. You're free. Do what you want to do. And that goes with anything. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about some stock market things happening as of right now. SPY gapping up to a higher level. And we're going to have to see if this thing's able to cross up. If it does, we could see something huge. And I'm just saying that because if momentum confirms while we get outside of this daily expected move, that's where you can see something crazy for the day. We've been landing within these daily expected moves pretty consistently, I would say. So we have to pay attention to right now, because eventually you will see one of those 32% times. Nvidia's losing some steam. The VIX 30-minute looks like it's going to cross the center line. I don't know if that's to the downside just yet, but let's go take a peek over at Nvidia. This thing's starting to give up the gains as of right now. We'll see if it's a gap fill and go, or if it's going to have to move down a little bit. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. That's the first thing I want to think about, Allison, but I do need to understand, and I'm just talking from my perspective, and you can take it however you want. I need to understand here that this is red in negative territory. This is crossed down. So still the most likely option is downside. So that is something to understand. It is still most likely that we have this to be happening, right? The downside to be happening until we turn up. Then I can really be convinced that there is a shift in momentum in the other direction. Right now, I'm not really convinced of that. Why? This hasn't crossed up. This hasn't gone above the center line. So awesome, awesome, Allison. We are on the same page today. AMC, we'll see if this thing's able to turn up today as well. I think that's a good one to be watching. AMD was a little bit of one that said, hey, I have a bunch of different, I just do not like AMD as a stock lately. It's really just been seeing some funky rips like this, and then it's like if you miss out on that, well, that's okay, because we're coming all the way back down, and then we see all this happening, which could just be left head, right shoulder to start to break down as you are negative. And then you see divergences kind of all across this, and you're going, ooh, multiple point divergence, maybe that could see upside, but every time that happens, it's just a quick upward move, and all that is given away. We are still in the environment of buying, selling the rips pretty much, right? You rip and then it sells. So you rip and then it sells. It's been a punching bag lately for sure. For sure. SMCI, after that earnings, no real technicals here besides the fact that you are at extremely low levels and you're not very close to the center line, so building back on the 30-minute could be tough. You look at the daily scale, this thing has been going negative for a long time, and it's starting to just really drop off here below that 200, so it is a time to be very, very cautious still. We still have volatility remaining at higher levels, still up at 25, above 20, so we have to pay attention to that, but the 30-minute did cross down, so that's a big deal because the 2-hour was not able to cross up. It actually rejected, so that's a big deal. Now you just want to see, is the daily going to curl over? That's going to be a big signal that we are squeezing, but most likely because of this rapid upward move, if we start to squeeze, it might be before this actually crosses. What I'm really paying attention to is if we see some buying for a while, do we get a reaction down here? Do we get a reaction once we get to that 50 and then see that spike back up? That's what I'm really paying attention to. But 2-hour wasn't able to cross here. Let's do this too. Let's look at the Dow. Dow seeing a pretty solid move here. So remember the Dow, we've kind of been, Dow's really been helping us out on the earlier move. It's kind of been dropping just barely before the market, I would say, like literally like minutes before the market follows. So if the Dow's able to confirm a strong move here, the market may follow shortly after, as that bar not looking as good as the Dow, I would say, even though it's about the same percentage. I still like the look of the bar a little better, a little thicker green, buying up like this. That would be nice to get above these moving averages, but they're pretty much sitting at the same place. Thoughts on tank? Oh, that's not it. Acquisition. Well, if that's a rejection, you got to be a little bit careful with it, but this looks almost like it's trying to head up. So it's kind of like on one side of the spectrum, you might have a double bottom. On another side of the spectrum, you might have a triple top. So this is pretty much just price bottling up, ready for the big move. You can kind of see how we're kind of tight like this. All right, we're kind of getting tight in here. I would even do something more like that, but so you really want to see, do you break to the upside? Do you actually cross up on this MACD, or are we going to start to curl over on 2 hours? We've been doing this for a while, so if that 2-hour crosses over, I should expect a bigger pullback from this guy right here, and since that is a rapid move, that can be a pretty dramatic pullback. But that's if the 2-hour crosses it, and by the time you cash out, you may want to look at like hourly or something, see how that, but that's wonky. So not the best look on the technical side for this one, not the easiest trade setups. But I would understand if this closes below here, hey, that's the swing trade kind of. Swing trade, okay, goes to the upside, closes below here, maybe we pull back to the 20, maybe you pull back all the way to the 50, as that was a pretty rapid move. But kind of hard to see that with the signals. It's not necessarily something I would take a trade on. Looks like the yield headed down. Let me go look at that data actually real quick. We have initial jobless claims coming in at 233. So coming in lower than expected even, and lower than the previous. And remember, we were talking about this, people saying, wouldn't you expect initial jobless claims to go up as the unemployment has ticked up? And I said, well, wouldn't they be throwing you for a loop if they cooked the numbers and gave you a low number here? A low number here is probably what the market's more looking for at this point. And looks like that's what we got so far. I need to pull this up on my other charts real quick. Put you guys on the spy for just a moment here. The 2-hour able to reject here this morning too. So you see how important this 30-minute is curling up. It's like if you don't confirm a 2-hour back down and you're confirming more upside, that's kind of what you're paying attention to today. NVIDIA starting to give up pretty much all of that gain so far. Back down towards 98, 91. So you see NVIDIA starting to give it up, go negative a little bit here. Negative 0.08. But the close was 98.74. The low, 98.80. So I don't necessarily know how this is negative. There we go. All right, you have filled the gap. We'll see what happens from here. SPY still holding up. Q is probably suffering a little bit more. But how's the Dow looking? Still strong. Still strong on the Dow. We'll see how the PCC has opened up a little bit lower, so that's interesting, but it's pretty much right in the middle, so nobody's really overzealous in either direction just yet. Volatility, just paying attention if this 30-minute wants to turn up into positive territory. IWM showing it's holding up just a little bit better than I would say. Stuff that like in NVIDIA and things like that. One thing I kind of want to look at too is this guy, semiconductors, and I want to see if that thing curls up, but this is going to be heavily weighted by NVIDIA, so we'll see if this is able to curl up. Let's go take a peek over at some other stuff. Amazon, we got to see if that can curl up. That's a cup and handle, by the way. Cup and handle, you'd want to get the cup up in these areas. Okay, we get up to that area, we get the handle. If that can curl up, you notice this, it's showing you, it can be a good move. Look at this, it's pretty much a cup and handle on the MACD. All right, NVIDIA almost down 0.63% as of right now. Tesla, how we doing on that? Starting to give up the gain as well. See what Bitcoin was doing. Bitcoin was seeing some good upside, actually, able to curl back up here. Maybe that's going to give it up. 4 hour might have some work to be done here. So if NVIDIA crosses down on this 4 hour by the end of, I would say, midnight tonight, then I'd be a little worried of downside. Oh my goodness. What are you guys chatting about? How's SPY looking, buddy? It looks like, we're still holding at higher levels, but you're seeing things like Apple drop off. You're seeing things like NVIDIA drop off. You're seeing a bunch of drop offs here for NVIDIA and Apple, and those hold such a big weight that I think that's going to weigh things down. So maybe the market maker didn't like the fact that there were calls that came in early on in the day. Maybe they want to see that thing start to tick up. But dollar is up dramatically while the market is up. So that difference can be there. This could be because of they're trying to fix the problem with the yen. But for now, you would just say, hey, if this daily curls up, we can see more of a sell-off coming forward. I'm waiting for lower prices to buy long term. Yeah, patience is always a great thing. And then if you just see the swing trade, you're like, okay, I shouldn't maybe be waiting for lower prices because I'm getting the swing trade. We're not seeing that as of right now. NVIDIA just hit down 1%. And thank you, Scott, for subscribing today. Appreciate you being here, bud. Hey, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that too. I like you guys coming in. You guys liking the video and all that stuff. Make sure we have 160. We can get 100 likes today. Easy. Easy. Because of you guys. I mean, SPY calls. Yeah, so I didn't take like SPY calls, VIX plays, anything like that. I'm still just holding on to my NVIDIA for pretty much a month. Seeing if we can just curl up. If we want to react down towards 95.63, that's where I might see if that's able to turn around and then apply that position again if this actually crosses. I'm willing to risk the money to wait and see what happens. Small position, once it crosses up, turning it into a regular position, I think would be the move for me as of right now. But look at the Dow, it's still holding up pretty well. Now volatility, just watch if that thing turns up, that's going to be a big sign. Let's look around at some stuff here. Meta, that is a swing trade signal that could be forming here. More Meta on the 30-minute. Microsoft, possible swing trade signal for Microsoft if that's able to curl up into positive territory more so. Google rejecting the downside as of right now, getting tight, right? You can see it's getting tight. We can kind of see how these are getting tight in here. We got this going on. We'll have to see which way this thing wants to break. Originally, PCC was down to 0.8 something, and now it's up to 0.93. So we're getting up to that 0.95, that one area right in between there where we like to see a lot of things happen. The only thing that's worrying me for the day right now is the dollar going up while the market's going up. Nvidia back to 0.36, going pretty much back up to the open. DHI, we can look at that real quick. Let's go look at some stuff here. First of all, first thing I see is potential divergence, okay? So you do have potential divergences here coming down on this MACD. You kind of see how that's upward when I hold my mouse down here. You see how that next line, a little bit up from there. So you do have that upward direction a little bit, and you do have that upward direction a little bit. So if this sees some positivity, there you go. I mean, it's pretty much telling you RSI still has to cross the center line, and the price action is taking back the 9. So you only have one reason to take the trade if this actually posts. You need to have pretty much, I like to have 1, 2, and then maybe a small position, and then hey, once I see 3, I give it a go. But that's what I would see here. This is a potential reversal signal with the divergence forming here that can turn up 2-hour charts. So let's go look at that. 2-hour down by the center line, that can see a positive move from here. And if we're able to break through this key level, that's a key level for you. That's the breakdown area, which we did break down from. Head and shoulders, you want to be weary about that. So if you want this to not continue, right, get rejection here as we're retesting, well, then you're going to want this to build back above that level, curl up on that 30-minute. That will really, really help this thing out. But Tesla, you can kind of see the divergence here on the 2-hour, but not necessarily here, right? That's down. But I'm talking about the very near price action. You have a tiny divergence that could lead to a pop, but then that could just fall off to create a stronger base on the 2-hour before we actually want to see some more upside. But a lot of the time, if you're going to see that 2-hour turn back down, you will see like a big move like this, and then you'll see a divergence in the 30-minute to go the other direction. So slinky, slinky, slinky. MSTR, Robert, you still here? MSTR? MicroStrategy. Same, it's pretty much a similar thing. Pretty much is a similar thing. Now, this bar right here, it's pretty much these two bars right here are actually where that divergence is being made. That's where the MACD is giving you those readings. Because this red bar was still coming down. So these bars right here, what you want to pay attention to, you do have the divergence there because you go off of the closing of the bars. And what would we see? Well, positive things can happen if you curl up. It looks very similar to a lot of other stocks right now. SPY starting to see some good positivity here. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So Robert, yeah, I would just look, it has the same 30-minute signals pretty much as Nvidia right now. Well, I think they accomplished it. Look at this, 1.1. So they accomplished it already. A ton of people flipping to the put side, probably because yesterday in the morning we saw that move up and then it was given away. So we'll see if this has any effect on what's going on. Dollar starting to drop off from that. So we'll see. But for the most part, take it for what it is. It should happen, and you can see something crazy outside of the daily expected move. But then you also have to know, as a trader, crazy things do happen in the market. A price can go up or down at any time. Anytime. So if this curls up, you have a good probability for a strong move. But there's just one problem. You do have some resistance right here. We weren't able to say gap above that to take that back. So you want to see a strong move, maybe retest it, and then start to head up. But from this area, if you get up here, you have a 68% chance for a drop. That's what led us to believe things yesterday, and we just looked at the dollar. So if the dollar keeps going up while the market's going up, that is something that we need to pay attention to. And then if things start to roll over. Good morning, Donald. How you doing? Come on, SPY, push. Push, push, push. Just like my wife when she had our child. No, that's weird. That, oof. Dow's ripping. Okay, so let's go look at the Dow as well, and this is what I want to pay attention. This is kind of why that first drop for Nvidia I'm not very scared of, because the Dow's looking good. We seem to be following the Dow. The Dow just behaves a little more normally, not as much like fading and crazy stuff happening in every single bar. more just upside potential as people start to get overzealous to the downside once more. Volatility still dropping off as of right now. IWM starting to see a good upside. Let's see if that can curl up. God dang it, I forgot to make daily expected moves for this. I'll make daily expected moves for IWM and be posting those to Patreon tonight. And all the stocks that we cover, you can make daily expected moves on Fridays. Your thoughts on just not holding any stocks at all and just day trading on big data news from the Fed each week? Not necessarily my type of thing that I would do. I like to look at, before big events, I like to look at TLT actually. So before, I used to do this in the bear market setting. When we were in a bear market a couple years ago, I would look at TLT, and it was one of my best trades. I think I made $13,000 and I bought something at the end of the day and made 13 grand in the morning. That was just from looking at the signals, looking at the sentiment. So the sentiment of everyone was yields have to go higher, but the Fed was talking about, inflation getting better. So there was potential for them to start talking about rate cuts. And then they came out and they did say exactly what happened. Exactly what they said last time. They said if the data keeps looking this good, we're going to start talking about rate cuts. They came out and TLT had a 30-minute divergence and a 2-hour divergence at the same time. So I look at TLT to the downside, by the way, for an upside move, meaning the yields were going to come down. And so what I did was I looked at TLT. I looked at the sentiment of people. I took the opposite bet of the people. And then the Fed, I just looked at what they said last time, looked at the data, looked at what's happening now. And then they said, yeah, we can start to think about rate cuts in the next, we're going to start to think about not raising. That was it. They're not going to raise any higher. It was when they first said we're not going to raise any higher. And I just went, okay, cool. So once they actually said that, though, that's when I saw the big move. Pretty much the next day you got that big reaction. So it was pretty cool. But something you can do is pay attention to those three things: the sentiment of everyone, what the Fed actually said, and then what the chart looks like, and then make a decision. I did not have to put a ton of money behind that to make that money, by the way. But it was a bigger position. I think it was 3 grand. Bigger, quote unquote. How's Apple doing? Apple is, but you see how just making a good decision, all I had to risk was $3,000, and I was able to make a good trade just because volatility was higher, and I paid attention to the signals, and I paid attention to the sentiment of the people while they ignored exactly what the Fed was doing. So at this moment for Apple, you just don't want this to curl down into negative territory. So this building up like this, hey, okay, we're going to give the cup a little handle. Let's see if we can head to the upside. If this starts to curl down, that's going to be a bad sign. So just pay attention to that. That just means, hey, maybe I want to manage that risk. Maybe I'm going to go make a divergence or something like that with these lows. So you have a lot to pay attention to as far as Apple goes. It's not showing the best setup in the world. We can bump it up a time frame because that's been curling up for a while. That 2-hour curls up. You see some green here. That is most likely going to be a good move to the upside. So we'll pay attention to it. See if things can curl up on 2-hour MACDs. NVIDIA actually curled down on the 2-hour. So NVIDIA, weirdly enough, from these areas right here, giving you a divergence point on the 2-hour, triple divergence on the 2-hour. And now you're also seeing at the same time, what do you have behind it? Potential for a 30-minute divergence as well. So that's how this move can go back. We can see a daily cross up for NVIDIA. That's these signals right here saying you could see a daily cross up for NVIDIA, but they have not confirmed. That's the only problem. This confirmed, and that's how you know, like, hey, this is going to be a good move. Because if I know that there's a signal for a swing trade possible on the daily chart, so I'm looking for a signal in the 2-hour to tell me if that's going to turn around. And then if the 2-hour is going to turn around, I'm looking for the 30-minute. And I happen to have all of those things at the same time. So therefore, by getting it in on the 30-minute, I could be a part of this move before that daily swing trade happens. Hold it for a little longer. That daily momentum really takes over. This thing goes up to like 120 or something like that. And hey, I got myself a great trade. We could get the lower high, we still could, so we're still paying attention because we're still within the range, right? We're about to test that level, and we do see the dollar is still up. It's still positive, but starting to roll. We'll see what happens with that going forward, but for now, just paying attention to the signals. Hey, NVIDIA is showing some great signals. It's a very big stock, so if things start to curl up, I'd be a little bit more as the Dow starts to curl up, hey, the SPY might follow that very soon. So we'll see the Dow. I think clicking back and forth to the Dow, that's something to be looking at. As far as NVIDIA goes, I'm already at that point. I actually bought it at this low just to be in the move in case something crazy happened, because a lot of the time with like a V shape or some kind of recovery, once good news comes out, hey, yeah, it'll just gap up and keep going. So I want to make sure I'm at least have a small position in the move. And then when this actually does curl up, hey, it curls up to this area. So probably somewhere around 105 is where you're going to see that actually curl up. And then once that gets above all the moving averages, now I can be a little bit more happy with that trade. Then I can watch the 2 hour, then I can watch the daily, see if all those things can scale up. And yes, I most likely will, if I see something like this very rapidly, yeah, I most likely will like take profit a little bit here, see if we back off for a moment, and then see if we can head to the upside and reapply that position while still holding a couple contracts from before. This will allow me to break even on the trade, play with house money, that pulls back. Now I can apply that money at a cheaper price and see that move to the upside. But that's how I'm thinking about playing it at this moment. What's good, Chad? What's up, Jackson? How you doing this morning, man? So I'd say like 105 is where I'll reapply the position or add to the position for NVIDIA. Looks like IWM is seeing some upside right now, so I want to go click over to that. That is curling up. Dow Jones is curling up. The SPY is trying to right now. The Qs are trying to right now. So this is where the resistance is. And so this is where we really have to be paying attention. As you can see, people still getting a little overzealous to the put side. So we'll see what happens with that going forward as the dollar started to rotate back down, actually. TLT dropped off pretty well here. Yeah, as far as data goes, though, you want to look at what's the sentiment of the people. What if, like, you're waiting for the Fed to say something? Okay, what did the Fed say last time? They do not divert from what they say very often. And you need to know, even in an environment like this, they still most likely have to hold higher for longer. Unless they know, hey, something's about to break, maybe we need to cut. Right? Everyone's wanting them to cut. And yeah, Pablo, so hopefully you heard all of that, but the 30-minute curling up here, then I see the 2 hour curl up. That's kind of what I'm looking for. It rejected, so now we can see a prolonged bounce. But what I need to be aware of for the 2 hour, if we do see a strong move here, I want to look into next week, see where that upside range is. If I start to see 30-minute divergence here, I should expect at least a pullback to create some structure. That would kind of be the bullish thing, right? But the bearish thing would be if we go like this, we get to this liquidity area, we grab that liquidity and we flush 30-minute divergence, right? So if there's a 30-minute divergence, then you can see, hey, this might have more weakness in it and we might need to drop down lower to actually create that firm bottom. But as of right now, I'm more so leaning towards, hey, these 30-minute divergences lead to upside. We see these swing trades start to play out to the upside. That's what I'm leaning towards. I'm not leaning towards the 2 hour divergence one just yet. And the main reason I'm thinking that is just because of how NVIDIA looks. NVIDIA does have the divergence. It's a little bit closer to positive territory, so I'll be watching this closely. If this breaks through, uses as support and heads higher, hey, you got yourself left head, maybe right shoulder forming. So we'll pay attention if this forms for NVIDIA, and that will really help us out. We'll pay attention to the Dow as well, as the Dow seems to be leading some moves, curling up on the 2 hour already. SPY rejecting, Qs rejecting. So we still have some time left, hour and a half. Definitely potential for that, Allison. You got to be worried every single weekend. So most likely I will take some kind of profit in my stuff. If we see an upside move, I will take some kind of profit. That way my risk is really mitigated going into the weekend. Yeah, we can look at Zillow. No, I'm not a fan of Zillow, but if it gave me a trade setup, I'd still do it. One of my friends works, she's pretty high up at Zillow. So for Zillow on this, you can see how divergence down here leads to, hey, a big upside move, but that could have easily been to the downside. We noticed that it's a massive move getting you already overbought. So do I want to be chasing this? Not necessarily, but this can reverse up 2 hours. So you see that, or I'm sorry, that was a 30-minute divergence. So 2 hour is bouncing, but it's still very negative. So what I'd more so be looking for when I see these type of big moves is, does it base out on a 15 or a 30-minute, and can it stay positive? Because the 30 minutes like just going positive. So I want to see if that dips down, moves sideways in any way, and then see some upside. That's mainly how I look at earnings. AVGO, and it does look similar to yesterday, but the call side quickly, the only difference from yesterday is the call side quickly switched to the put side very rapidly. Yesterday it remained call side for a while. for at least a little bit. What you're noticing from AVGO is still the divergence down here. So same thing. You're seeing similar things as NVIDIA, as AMD actually, seeing these kind of divergences pop up. If they can actually confirm, that's what we want to pay attention to. As we look at the 2 hour, this looks a lot like NVIDIA, doesn't it? It literally looks the same. You have the edgy, the spike right here. You have the spike here. You have the divergence all the way across, triple divergence here, triple divergence there, kind of flat on the last one. It literally looks like NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA starts to curl up on 30 minutes, hey, this one might follow. So 30-minute chart's very important. No, I don't mind. Let's go look at that, Nazim. So you did curl up. So what you're mainly looking for here is hopefully that didn't violate any kind of cupping in here, but for the most part, you're building up in an area where you can break through, in my opinion, seeing if that can turn up. As of right now, we should expect positivity. Maybe looking at a 2 hour would show a trade setup. And you're noticing this, mainly the swing trade. Okay, so the swing trade looks like it's set up right here. On this bar, you're waiting for that positive bar. There it is. So now swing trade to the upside looks like the most likely option. You do have a trend line above you to pay attention to. So something like up here towards 119, towards 120 is where this thing could get for now. And then we have to see if that rolls back down. If that rolls back down, you might almost have a triple top. Okay, so if you start to do that, you're kind of in a range. So you kind of want to break through that. But since you're in that range, it's pretty much you close below here, bad things can happen. You close above here, hey, good things can happen. No real divergence here, so you do have a lower price action, right? So this is a lower point than the previous over here. So weirdly enough, you have something called hidden divergence where this is actually lower. This is actually lower, but the actual first point is lower than the second point. So that's called hidden divergence. We don't talk about it too often. You see it at certain times, but it's not like the easiest thing to really see what's going to happen. The probabilities aren't as clear with it, but you do have it right now. A little bit of a hidden divergence there. See if that thing can actually see some upside. Maybe just being patient is the option here. Seeing if the daily can turn up. That daily turns up. Hey, the swing trade is there, right? You have 1, 2 signals. Now you're waiting for the third, but it doesn't mean you can't make a decision now and then manage the trade is overall what I like to do. So from this area, can we break through? Big question there. Hello, load. There we go. But still, I think keeping an eye on this guy is probably one of the most important things for today. Yeah, Nazim, so you're in early and it makes sense. You just have to really watch and manage the trade. As you just said, you're in early, so immediately gotta make sure to be managing the trade in case things roll over quickly. So one thing that can hint to you as well, watch the Dow, watch volatility. If volatility starts to curl back up on a 30-minute, hey, you should be aware of that because the 2 hour is so close to crossing that if that 30-minute curls up just for like an hour or so, you can start to curl up on this MACD here for the volatility. So I'd really be paying attention to that. We're not out of the woods yet. This looks like some basing out signals as of right now, at least from the Dow on the shorter time frames. So we want to make sure to pay attention to the next 19 minutes or so, and then we can see if things start to curl up and go positive and get above these ranges. Disney. Disney dropping off again, still has the divergence point there, but not giving you that confirmation. So that's the problem here. You really need that confirmation to say, hey, a big move can come. And the best part about Disney, you see the 30-minute divergence here. We see if we zoom out to a 2 hour, what do we have? Well, we have a 2 hour divergence trying to form here. One fake out move, that's no good. But hey, you have the divergence here. We have the divergence down to that level. So if you can curl up, this is the trade setup, but it's not there yet. This is very bad. This is very bad, right? Very bad. So what we want to see too is the daily scale might have that divergence in the near price action as well, right? You see that upward on the RSI, kind of down on the MACD, so not the best thing. I would treat this as, hey, maybe a reaction to the 50, maybe a reaction to the 200 if you're able to break above this high. But you are seeing the signals, they just haven't confirmed, so you can't say this is a good thing yet, right? You need this type of thing to happen, then you can see that reaction up. We can look at SQQQ, but you mainly just want to look at the Qs, and what you're going to see is pretty much the opposite. So where the Qs are trying to make that higher low, now SQQQ trying to make that lower high. So once you see this cross, you're probably just looking at the Qs going, hey, if the 30-minute crosses up, then SQQQ is going to cross down. That's the simplest way to put it. But this hasn't crossed up yet. So that's the key thing. It hasn't crossed up yet. I know the Dow has. I know IWM is trying to. Both of them are kind of like still in that bar, right? We have 17 minutes left. They're trying to curl up. That's great. But you need the SPY and the Qs really to go up in order to see things like NVIDIA head up. And I think trading attention to NVIDIA is a good thing for today. Lucas, is that TradingView? Yes, it is. I am using TradingView with the basic subscription. You do not need a bunch of bells and whistles in order to trade technically. You just need a MACD and RSI, maybe some moving averages. And then one thing that'll really help you out the most, weekly ranges. If you have a MACD and weekly ranges, you can be a good trader. Congratulations, you can do it. You really can. Now, things can go wrong for you a little bit more because you need a few other things to maybe say like, hey, build that probability up, right? Build that information up. But that's really what you could use to just become a good trader. I don't show after hours here. What I do is I look at the futures here. So what I noticed last night was kind of frustrating me about this was I need this 2 hour to curl up. You notice that has happened. Okay, so this is confirming 2 hour on the futures that you are seeing an upside move. This is going to be a higher low. See if it can beat that high. Same thing for the US 100. That has already crossed in the futures, which this is equal to pretty much a 30-minute chart right now. Now, I like that confirmation in the regular trading hours, but I will look at this. I was looking at this last night at this level, watching it hold up, and all I was thinking was, okay, by morning, we're going to either be flagging or something like that, or we're going to be breaking through that flag. So I really wanted to see if that's going to break through the flagging. It kind of did. So as of right now, the 2 hour for the US 100, the 2 hour for the SPX 500 are both saying, hey, you have a good potential to go positive here. The only problem with today is you're running into a brick wall of the daily expected moves. So we have to take that into consideration as we're hitting that right now. We're hitting it right now, pretty much. XLU turned green. I'm about, let's see, NVIDIA. I'm up 2% on NVIDIA. Yeah, so I'm pretty much bouncing between break even up 2%. I think a second ago I was down by a couple percent too. Yeah, IV is going to be rough. I noticed the implied volatility for like Tesla was rough. I was looking at options there. It was like more expensive to take a Tesla trade than an NVIDIA trade, which is impressive. Legini's liking some PayPal. Looking good for the past few days. Let's go check it out. I do like me some PayPal. Oh, you're seeing a similar thing as well, except this one looks maybe even better. Why does it look better? Because you're positive. So if that can curl up, you haven't really seen that sporadic big move yet. Based on maybe some good news. So you break through here, you can start to test higher levels. What you'd probably like to see even from here is us to get up to this area, maybe complete that full cup here, and then see a handle. Big handle here would be nice. Looking at the 2 hour here, that was able to curl up into positive territory. Hey, swing trade, positive territory, so you can test the high and go make a new one. And then you just want to see if that 30-minute is creating any reversal signals to give you the lower high. I mean, I like it overall. And we liked PayPal down at lower levels too. Down here, the double bottom divergence looked fantastic. Hey, yeah, that played out to the upside if you were patient. Ooh, look at that curl down, but then the 2 hour swing trade's there. Nice trade. So playing before earnings, hey, if you have to, I get it, but that could have easily went this way. It didn't. It went that way, gave it all up for a minute, filled the gap, and then curled up on a 2 hour. That's the more trade I would take. Right, not necessarily the first one way up to here, even though the 2 hour did cross. You could maybe say that's a reason, but that's earnings, so 50-50 flip. But then we curled down, and then what I would probably have done is looked at a 30-minute here and said, okay, anytime that curls back up, I'm going. Okay, boom, it curled up and now heads to the upside. I'm exiting my first target at 103.20. Congratulations, Diana. Hopefully that was a good one for you. Oh yeah, 50% SPY calls holding for runners. Yeah, holding some runners. So good decisions up towards the daily expected move. I'm happy to hear good decisions. Hey, let me take a little bit of profit so I mitigate my risk in case this just flips the other way, as the dollar is starting to actually come down now. So the dollar actually coming down, VIX down by 10% as of right now. Dow crossed up, IWM crossed up. Now we're waiting on the SPY to cross up, which in the futures market on the 2-hour it already did. So a lot of things here are adding up to, hey, we could see some upside. Let's pay attention for the day. Treasury buybacks, yes, most of the time that is another way to get either waste, say taxpayer money, or for the most part just print money. They just type in a number on a computer. Yeah, I'm still in NVIDIA. Okay, hedging's never a bad thing, Jay. Hedging's never a bad thing. I get you. This could easily reject in this area and things like that. It's just the only thing helping me out a little bit is the futures market already curled up on a 2-hour. So you can still see some crazy stuff, especially in the morning. Especially in the morning with that retail hour. But for the most part, if you did see something flash down like this, well, as long as that 2-hour is still curled up for the futures market, I'm still happy. So there is chance to reject here, but I just want you to remember this is the downside move. So that means we can reject from there. We're experiencing something unexpected. So if they want to, you can just reject from here and continue the selling. So we'll pay attention. That's why this crossing is so important today. Today's a very important day to see if they're going to see some upside, right? If we're going to see some upside, well, you got to curl up, get back within that monthly range. As of right now, you have till the end of August and you could end up right back here. Right? You could end up by the end of August way up here towards 573, and it would make sense. As of right now, you want to just say, hey, there's a 68% chance to do this for the whole month pretty much until we get in there. And then you want to also say, we know we can use it as a resistance. But this is a great signal right now, right in front of you. So if you do curl up, hey, a strong move can be there. How far out are you on NVIDIA calls? 3 weeks. The end of August. Think you're gonna buy some Patreon next week? Hey, it will help you out with finding some stuff. I know that we're still waiting to see what's happening here today to post something to Patreon. Just because there's a daily expected move here, I wanna just make sure things are looking good. I'm hoping that I can have some trade setups for you guys to really pay attention to. I think the only one I'm seeing now is still NVIDIA, if that can really cross up. Seeing Tesla, if that can really start to cross up, that would be a good one. Let's just click through. Maybe we can look at a few here. AMD might be a potential one, but I just don't like trading AMD. It's just been awful for a while. 30-minute swing trade for Meta. Microsoft trying to give you a higher low in here. Google trying to give you some rejection to go higher. So all of these are setting up. Netflix was one, saw a good move. Now curling down, see if that thing can curl back up. Even these, AMC and GME trying to curl up today. So you're seeing a lot of stuff try to curl up. SMCI really suffering still after the earnings. That's why this just had no real reversals in it. It looked kind of ugly. So for Tesla, I'm just waiting to see a simple curl up. I'm just waiting to see a simple curl up, and then I take a dabble with it. That's kind of how I'm treating Tesla. Boom, like this. Okay, I'll take the position. That's how I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to manage my risk on that position, right? If we get to this area and I see weakness, okay, I know to get out of that position. That's all it is. Now, do I have to use massive positions here? No, if we're going to short squeeze, if we're going to see a massive upward move or something like that, hell, even 500 bucks could probably turn this into 1,500 or something like that if you see something crazy. Which we've seen puts just pile up over here, here, here. And that's the big difference from yesterday. By the way, with the call side, this is the big difference from yesterday with what's going on. Originally, we went to the call side, we sat there for a while, and we slowly trickled back up to puts. Today, we went down like this, and then we spiked right back up. So that's a lot different than yesterday. We'll see. Dow still has to confirm this. IWM still has to confirm this. SPY still needs to cross. Qs still need to cross. Anyone from Arizona? Drink lots of water, right? It's hot as hell there. I had family that lived in Arizona. It's hot. The tip is go to the pool often and drink lots of water. All right, let's see. Jay's in Arizona. There you go. You guys can be friends. Gold here, getting that cross down, then cross right back up. So weirdly enough, I guess you would say this is divergence as well between this point down here. Yeah, just very flat, but overall the price action very flat, so potential for a good move there. See if the 2 hour is able to curl up actually. Did that curl up? So 2 hour curls up for gold. You actually could see a solid move here. We still have some resistance in the trend line above us. On an army base? Like, were your parents in the army, or did they just like get a little freaky and be like, let's break into an army base? You know what I mean? In the army. Oh, man. Bummer now. Still think Nvidia is a good one to watch this morning. I know it's 30 minutes. They take time to develop, but this is the best way to do it. See if this can just get a simple curl up. AMC up 2.59%, trying to break through $5 again, it looks like. GME trying to curl up, AMC trying to curl up. These are signals to pay attention to. Tesla, solid little 2.39% move so far, trying to curl up. And Apple rejecting. Can you go positive, big dog? Amazon's hotter than this market. Nvidia to 120. I think it's possible. If you can start to confirm all these divergences, I think 120 is definitely possible. Deciding day or indecision on where market makers want to send this market. I think today's the decider. I truly do. Now, a lot can happen. We could be wrong about that, but I think if this really does confirm, then they've decided to head higher for the next few days. And then you just have to pay attention to what's going to happen in key areas, right? Say the SPY. Right, we have to pay attention to what happened in the past. Well, when we broke through this level, really bad things happen. So if we get a reaction up to that level and we reject from here, that's going to be bad. But if we're able to build up over time, get up to these levels, base out like this, kind of stay within this area, that would be very good. You could just grab some liquidity on that pullback and head to the upside. So that's what I think I'm paying attention to for the SPY. I think if we see this upward move, hey, that's great. I now know I need to look at this level, and if we get above that, I need to look at this level. Right around 550. Too much stress. I feel you though. It's a stressful time. But at least you got AMC up 2.7. That's pretty good. That might be curling up actually. Maybe it's GME that was closer. GME's really close. Nvidia, did that see some positivity? We'll see if that can curl up. Looks like the SPY and the Qs might curl up before Nvidia. So this is where we have to be a little bit on guard. We have to say, is this going to be the massive upward move? Is this going to be some kind of squeeze at this moment? We're seeing PCC still at higher levels. So Dow Jones still holding strong, even going higher, crossing up on the MACD as of right now. So now you have to go again for another 30 or 2 more minutes, 2.5 minutes, see if that's able to confirm. SPY trying to do the same. So we can start to see something crazy. Close your shorts on home builders. I just look at nail for the most part. I'd say that's probably a pretty good decision. You had divergence down here on nail. Now I know this is a 3x leverage, so I don't necessarily want the analysis there, but I think it's diligent of you. Yeah, here you go. So I think that's smart. Seeing this, if you see that reaction, hey, reapply the position, okay? If this just curls right back down, awesome. More downside. But right now, woo, that's a great timing. Great timing on that. I like to hear that. I like to see it. Went long. You haven't gotten confirmation of the long yet, so just be aware of that. No confirmation on the MACD, but you do have the divergences down here. So overall, I like the play. I like the setup. I like your mentality behind it. Nice, Jonathan. I like it. Thoughts on what will happen to the market once Fed cuts interest rates? Well, people could see it as good initially. So pretty much once these things uninvert, right? We're at 4 and 4.06. Once these actually uninvert, that's actually when we could see still 6 to 18 months of positivity. So this could leak into 2025. I just think we have so many things on the verge of breaking right now that we have potential anytime in the fall. And then if not the fall, they're not going to crash the market most likely for Christmas. But it has happened. I would think somewhere like January or March if we're going to go into 2025. But if they want to, they could go all the way into this time next year if we want to do that. We are on the move here for the SPY, ticking up, going up towards that bottom side monthly expected move. We can see that as resistance, so we'll pay attention to it. Qs actually were able to break through. Qs were able to break through. We'll see if they can hold it. IWM seeing some solid upside now, crossing up. Dow crossed up, right? We got 30 seconds left. Let's see if the Dow confirms this in 30 seconds. Yo, the times where I buy nail is when it's $5. If we ever see a crash, I'm buying nail at $5. This nail goes from like $5 to $100 within like 5 years, almost every single time. And I'm like, dude, just I'm not even going to take an option with it. I'll just buy the stock. I like home builders when you see a crash. Nail's one of my favorite stocks to buy and hold, even though it's 3x leveraged. Yeah, the best part about nail though is if it's going to see that upside around $5, well, then I can hold that for 10 years and just put like 10 grand into it, and by the time it hits 100, hey, you know, that'll be worth plenty. Yeah, that's a problem, and I think that'll change. All right, so Dow Jones actually able to cross up. IWM actually able to cross up. SPY trying to do that right now. Q's trying to do that right now. They've already done it in the pre-market for the futures. So, is there an FOMC meeting today? Not that I know of. I know that some people were talking about an emergency meeting, but I don't think they'll do that. Fed Barkin speech later today, and the Fed balance sheet comes out as well. But that most likely won't report. I don't think that would report what they've done in the super recent moment here. And then on Tuesday of next week, we get the PPI. That is supposed to tick down as well. People might see coming down in inflation still as a good thing. And let me look over at these two real quick. Ooh, Tesla actually saw a little bit of a break to the upside. Just a little break to the upside, able to curl up that MACD. Look at Tesla, so that's where I can actually apply my position. Good to go. So now with Tesla, what does that mean? It means the 2-hour has a good shot to curl up. That's happening at the same time. Even better, even better. So where do I need to pay attention to some key areas for Tesla? Well, the gap down area, so this little box in here. But if we can build up above that and get up to the next one, you actually could see a very, very strong move to do something like we did right here. So I think if you really talk about it, this right here is probably the breakdown area. All right, so this is where I'm looking for rejection. If we can build above that, I'm still looking for rejection here, maybe to take some profit, but we can actually base out and then maybe go down, dip down, grab some liquidity in here and head to the upside with some kind of head and shoulders. I like it. Let's see if Nvidia's doing the same. Are you curling up on a 2-hour yet? It's about to, so that's why I'm paying attention. And you notice now I'm in the move very early on a 30-minute. So now, if the 2-hour curls up, I'm more comfortable. And then I say, okay, now if the daily curls up, I can be in it for the swing trade. I can hold this for a couple of weeks, see some good price action to the upside. Maybe this thing goes like this, consolidates, goes like this, and by the end of the month, where are we? Maybe 120, and then I can be out before earnings even hits and have a good trade. That's kind of what I'm looking at, because I don't want to mess with this. So I want all of this to happen before then, go into the end of August and boom, hit 120, have a happy little trade there. Still hasn't curled up on the MACD yet, so no reason to apply any more positions at this point. But Tesla, boom, that's a solid one. Maybe 2-hour momentum takes over for Tesla. Already up a little bit on Tesla too, so those calls are starting to get more valuable, and we're not seeing that dramatic shift to the call side. So most likely, a lot of the time, you'll see a rip. That way, people can't get in the calls very early. And then once you see them go to calls, we'll see like a sideways price action or some kind of pullback. We'll see if this can cross up. This is where we got to pay attention. It's early on in the day, okay? It's early on in the day. We still have that 68% zone right here. This is like yesterday. We have that 68% zone below us yesterday when we came up to these highs. That's where I took a position, and boom, we head to the downside. So everything kind of working out here. Actually, in this area, do you know what I did to make sure that something was happening? I took a small position for volatility to come down in case the SPY went up. And I took a bigger position because I was more confident it would come down, and took that position to the downside. And then once I saw this actually break below this little bit of consolidation, I just exited out of that VIX short and just left the calls. Kept my calls on the VIX, played it down to the weekly, took profit right at the bottom of my zone. Great trade setup. It was awesome. That's a harder one. This is definitely a harder one. It's just based on good decisions. That's not necessarily how I teach people in the courses. In the courses, you're looking for very highly probable things you don't want to have to pay like attention to every minute. I had to pay attention to this very, very closely. When it broke down, okay, I see the downside, I take profit immediately and flip the script. So good trade setup for me, but not necessarily something that I would advise if you're not able to understand the weekly ranges to a T. I mean, I know a lot of people are just getting into weekly ranges because of this channel. Once you get into it for long enough, you'll start to see things a little bit clearer. I'll have to catch this on video later. Me and the kids say hi. Hi, Sam. How's it going, dude? Tesla hitting 197.50. Yeah, Tesla actually seeing this curl up here. That is a good sign for potential reversal in trend. 2-hour curling up at the same time. So 2-hour momentum can take over here. That's why I'm watching it. Can we check Oxy, and then I'll check CleanSpark? Let's go check on CleanSpark or on Oxy real quick. Well, you're just seeing a reaction up, it seems. Not really a trade setup, I would say. The only thing you would say is, hey, this curled up right by the center line, so this could be good. Let's look for a bigger time frame here for Oxy. Hey, that has curled up. You got a good chance. It tells you you're bouncing, right? That's what this is saying. It's saying, I'm bouncing. But I have to be weary about this at a certain time. So even if I take this trade setup, I have to know that that's negative, and that could just get close to the center line and turn back down. So if this did this and then turned back down, I would pay attention to these two areas right here. I'll even draw a line for you, all right? This area right here, boom. So right around $59 to $60, that area there. Why? Because that's where you really broke down. So if you wanted to build up, you could do this cup and handle around that area, or if you break above that, that would be even better, because now you're looking at the next point you need to pay attention to, which is boom right there. This area here, when we broke through it, hey, big selling bar there. So what you want to see here is, can we go like this, bottle up in this area for a little bit, and then head to the upside? That would be the bullish case. The bearish case is we're going to reject from here and turn down. We're going to curl up on this MACD and curl right back down. Hope that was overall helpful. It's not the perfect one to look at. As far as CleanSpark goes, you have a divergence here, 30-minute divergence for sure. There you go. It already confirmed. It just confirmed, actually. So what you're noticing here is similar to something like NVIDIA or Tesla at this point. CleanSpark does have this rapid buy up from this area. What do we notice? The low of these bars is actually probably right here. Okay, that's downward divergence here. You have upward. So good little thing here to happen, crossing up, telling you, hey, a 2-hour can see some positivity. 2-hour is crossing up too. So that is confirming on the 2-hour here in about 52 minutes. We'll see how it goes. But if you wanted to wait 52 minutes, I would understand. Make sure that 2-hour momentum is with you for some kind of move. Maybe to test where? Well, it's going to test key levels here. And I would say actually this is better as a zone for this one. Take some of these bottoms of the wicks, right? See this little area here? We pull it across, and we'll use the lowest wick just to make sure we're being a little bit safer. And we can pull that across and say, okay, this zone is where I might run into some trouble. But if I can take that back, right, if I can burst through that, use it as support now, then I can head higher. And then I'd want to pay attention to that upside level. So you can see all these wicks up in here. I would start my zone probably there at that high. So probably a zone to create here would be like this. And we talk about this a little bit, how to create these zones in the course, but you can see that downside. I would say, where do we touch the most? Probably right there. All right. I would say something like this. I can look at it and notice I'm not like trying to focus, get it perfect. I'm just like, I need areas as some kind of reference, something that makes total sense. This makes sense. Now, why does this make sense? Well, rejection at the high, rejection at the high. We come out excited out above it. We just immediately drop off. Rejection at the high, rejection in the zone, rejection in the zone, rejection in the zone. All good stuff. Now, how do I find the bottom? Well, rejection at the bottom of the zone, rejection at the bottom of the zone, gapped out of the zone here, right? So something to pay attention to there. When we did react up, we reacted down to that level. Then we saw the move higher. So that's how I create the zone, rejection of the zone right here. And boom. So I know that these are my most important levels to pay attention to. Hope that was overall helpful. Thank you so much. If you find it helpful, please give a like to the channel. Lucas would really appreciate it. And guess what? I'm Lucas. Hi, I'm Paul. I'm not Paul. I'm Lucas. Let's go check on IWM again real quick. Okay, starting to slow it down just a little bit. Looking at a 2-hour that is crossed up. So you see the area I'd probably be paying attention to is 215, 216 actually. Obviously you got to break through some of this, but that 215, 216 level, you can see where that breakdown area was. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, I just wanted to explain that real quick because sometimes when I build these zones, people don't understand my thought process. So I thought it would be good to give you guys a little blurb on, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking when I make those zones. Let's do this now. Let's look at the futures here. See if we have some confidence on a 4-hour. We do. We have rejection. We have rejection. Okay, awesome. It's not bad. See if these dailies can start to turn around, man. Bitcoin, 6%. Why'd no one tell me about this? Why did you not tell me about this? Just kidding. You have flat, a little bit up divergence from this point. Kind of flat from this point, a little bit down though from this low. So not the best divergence here in the world, but you curl up on that daily MACD, Bitcoin can see something good if you get above all these moving averages, get past the breakdown zone. A lot of breakdown zones out there. Oh yeah, you did actually. No, wait, let me look back. Yeah, you literally typed it in chat. I'm stupid, Robert. Now, what are we noticing here from the 2-hour? That wasn't able to curl down. It actually curled back up. So now it's going positive. Looking at the 4-hour, we're still negative here. So we have to be aware of that 4-hour turning down at any time. That can mean maybe Bitcoin's going to create the stronger base, but still leaning towards, I think if Bitcoin can either head up right now or create the stronger base, hey, we would say upside's the most potential move. But if this breaks down, we got to be negative about it. That's not happening. It's trying to go positive right now. Rejection on the turn down here. Whoa, US 100 in the futures up 3%. There you go. Something kind of wild happening there. Probably good for NVIDIA. We'll see. Yeah, earnings always should make you hesitate. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. I like to hear that. Earnings is a time where you want to go, ooh, maybe I want to look at something else just in case, right? Mitigate the risk. It could be people going into a riskier asset. Pretty much like when the dollar goes down, it could mean that they're going into riskier assets such as Bitcoin or the stock market, right? When they flow into cash, they see it a little bit as more safe to be in cash, right? Because you have cash on hand. But thank you guys for joining today. Really appreciate it. Solid amount of people in here today, and that's all because of you guys liking and subscribing and doing all that good stuff. You know I appreciate it every single day. Like to be grateful for you guys. Something about the stock algorithms being designed by rocket scientists or something like that. That is some crazy stuff. Yeah, I could probably even go find the clip. It's literally the guy from Citadel, the guy that was like, oh shoot, I can't remember his name right now, but he's the one that was like in the movie for the big, or not the Big Short, for Dumb Money. That guy is the one who came out and said that they have recently, over the past couple of years, hired rocket scientists from NASA, literally from NASA, and they're the ones who have created the algorithm that can kind of price things out how they want it to, and it just reacts to the market. So that's why we pay attention to PCC. We see people getting a little bit over leveraged. That's why up in these levels we said we're probably going to bounce. We bounce. That's why at these levels we say we're probably going to pull back. We pull back. That's why at these levels we're saying we most likely do see some kind of bounce. Where was that, Nazim? Ken Griffin, that's it. Thank you for telling. Thank you, Johnny. Yeah, Ken Griffin. I don't know how that blanked. I want to be, I almost said I think about that guy every day. That's kind of weird sounding, but I kind of do. Whenever I look at this, I'm like, oh, Ken Griffin's trying to trick people. Now we'll see. A lot of things can still happen. We're out of that range. So it's not just, hey, yeah, puts are higher, so the market goes up. It's not necessarily how it works. You need liquidity, you need all those types of things, but that could be what this was. And then we'll see if we can break through some key levels. Tom Lee tweeted it. Is it rejecting? It is as of right now, but if you can kind of sit there, you know, remember in the morning, we've seen these big moves up and then we kind of sit there. So here you go, big move up. Now if we sit there, we want to see, are we breaking back down or are we consolidating and breaking through? Really breaking through some key levels here. So wherever we consolidate from, we started here, it'd be, okay, I need to break through these wicks to really see the strong move. That didn't happen. We broke through the bottom side lowest wick, which actually convinced me, hey, downside's there, dollar was higher. People were really going to the call side, literally right here, right there, right before the breakdown. What happened? What happened? There you go. People were at the call side. So we're just always thinking into the future just a little bit. Is that happening now? It's a little bit different, right? We still have a high PCC. So actually more puts coming in. Look at this, more puts. They're probably thinking, hey, it has to happen just like yesterday. No, it doesn't. Now it can. Or wait for the green bar. A lot of the time you want to wait. So how I played it, I'll just tell you how I played it, and that's probably the best way to explain it. At this area, I looked at volatility looking like it could curl up a little bit. So I just said, okay, in case I'm wrong, I'm going to take a small short in volatility in case this price action keeps going up, we break to the upside. But I'm more confident based on the other data I was looking at, the dollar, the PCC, and all those other things. That's what I was really looking at. To convince me, hey, but I'm going to go a little stronger to this side. So it's pretty much like, hey, I had 5 contracts to the upside, or, you know, we'll say for the SPY. So I had, even though I took it in VIX, I'm going to say it with the SPY just so it's very clear. I had 5 contracts for SPY to go up, and I had about 10 contracts for the SPY to go down. And when I saw that break, that's where I exited that position for the upside and said, okay, I think I'm right to the downside. Boom, I play the weekly expected move. What I did was I waited till we went near the bottom of my zone. I think it was on this bar right here, and I sold out of that position and made some good money. That's what I did, right? So I played both sides here. I put more money into the one that was giving me more data that I was more confident in, but at that time I wanted to make sure nothing like that would happen. So I kind of hedged it for a moment, and then I just took out that position. I just took it away. And then I see the red bar down. But you notice that I take the position. I'm not confident in the position until I see that break. And then once that does break, that's when I do it. So in this scenario, I did take the position while we were accumulating in this area. So in this scenario, what do I want to pay attention to the most? The MACD, the RSI, the divergence that has confirmed. That's what I want to pay attention to. And then I can use other data to help me out. Maybe I have a couple contracts in case this does go down, but I have more contracts in the direction I think it's going to go, right? That's what I would overall say. But the difference between here and here outside the daily expected move is, well, you have the PCC that is at higher levels, not lower. People are not taking calls as of right now on the retail side, in my opinion. Now, the dollar is higher while the stock market is higher, but it looks like it's trying to roll, which means that dollar could go down. And it's not really, I mean, this bar was dramatic, but it's a 30-minute chart. If you really zoom out to a 2-hour, you can see that one dramatic bar. See if that's able to curl back down. That could mean people flying in. But it also could mean in a squeeze, a lot of the time, you will see the dollar going up at the same time because there will be selling within the squeeze. So I'm not necessarily saying like the dollar is the best look for upside right now. I'm just saying it doesn't really read to me like it has in the past. I'm still paying attention to it. I'm still paying attention if things roll over because I have positions. But at the same time, I have to say, hey, this actually looks like divergence. The PCC is higher. That's a lot different than yesterday. So I guess the clear-cut answer is in certain scenarios, I don't wait for the bar, especially at those daily expected moves. So at this moment, I'm not waiting for a bar to confirm anything at this point. It already has on my MACD and RSI down at these levels for the lower high. So what I'm really looking for to give me some more confidence are things like NVIDIA to curl up. That would give me more confidence as there's divergence there. I would look for confirmations for Tesla. That's giving me some divergence there, telling me, hey, good potential for upside. Holding some Tesla still, can we see 200s? I think you can. I think what I overall think from here is we at least go test this zone. But anything can happen. The dollar is still higher while the market's higher, but the PCC level, unless they keep it sideways and this comes down, I'm not necessarily convinced that they're going to rip the market down or anything. We can also look at things that confirmed before the SPY and the Qs. The Dow. The Dow looks pretty good. We just want to see, is the 2-hour curling up? It is. If that remains for 40 minutes, pretty happy with it. Yeah, I hope that was helpful, Zen Trading. Yeah, just trying to be clear. There are situations where it's a little different, right? If it's more elongated, then I would say it a little bit differently. If this took a lot more time, let's say we do this, then I might be waiting, right? Let's say the range isn't as small. Let's say the range is like like this, then I might wait for the break because that's a lot of fluctuation in price and time can eat away at me if we see this. So if this would have stopped here and went this and then kept doing that over and over again, then I would more so wait for the break if it was a bigger range. But this was a small range and a lot of things were adding up in the morning. Out of all SPY calls, just holding one. See, leaving the runners. I respect that. And look at that. We're starting to come back into that monthly expected move. Qs already are back in the monthly expected move. So as of right now, you would say, hey, I'm seeing something crazy early on in the day. If that rotates down, it makes sense. 68% zone is right here. Pretty much. That's the most likely place to end today. But as of right now, your MACD signals, your RSI signals, they're telling you something different. So it's a time to pay attention because you could be seeing some upside. Weekly expected move for IWM, the upside 218.16 to the upside, and we do have 199.68 to the downside. So IWM, you like to break above that. That can really confirm, hey, we might be going into a positive trend. Look for that big move up. See if it can base out maybe on Friday. See if we see something like that. You're welcome, Robert. SPY seeing some positive stuff here. We got 8 minutes left in this bar. A little bit of a indecision consolidative bar for a 30-minute chart here. XLU trying to curl up one more time. Tesla already doing it, so that's great. Tesla now up about 25%. PLTR, is it hitting resistance? So 208, you are hitting resistance, but looking at it, you would say, hey, if this curls up on the 30-minute, that would be a great sign. The only thing that's kind of a little bit worrisome is if the 2-hour crosses down, but that's just going positive now. It's rejecting the downside. So if you get this 30-minute to curl up, you actually could see a pretty solid move. You just have to be aware that just before this, you saw the divergence here on the MACD, well, on the RSI. So the RSI gave you a little divergence for this pullback. That's what you're at, though. You're at the center line. If that curls up, you can see a pretty good move. Give me 1 second. I'm going to use the restroom for a moment, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. All right, quick. Let's see here. We have to close the clean at 198. Volunteer. Tom said, Luke, can you explain what the VIX is? The most simple way to understand what the VIX is the VIX is a weight of puts and calls. So the VIX is calculated, they just weigh the puts and calls out of the money. I believe it's for 1 month out. And then they calculate that, and whichever side it goes to, that's where you see volatility start to increase. So up here, you could assume the lower it is, the more calls that are in the market out of the money. The higher it is, the more calls in, or more puts that are in it outside of the money in the market. So this tracks the SPY puts and calls, I believe, and it's about a month out. So the fact that we saw this spike is a belief that people, this is why I was saying people are treating this like the COVID crash at this point, because we saw a dramatic rise to 61. We haven't seen those levels since 2020. And so that means that a ton of people thought that we were going to crash immediately. That's why I called this a fake crash. Because if you're seeing this type of reaction, then we technically should be seeing like what, a 10, 20, or a 5 to maybe 8%, maybe 10% down day or something like that. We didn't see that. We didn't necessarily see that. Now that would be a crazy, crazy thing, but that's what happened the last time we saw this. So I just said, okay, this looks like some people getting overzealous to the downside as we're only down. We were only down when this happened. When this happened, we were only down like 2.5%. 2.5%. That doesn't correlate too much. So that told me maybe I need to look at some stuff because this could be a fake crash. And that's what I'm paying attention to right now. And now we're seeing the market start to bounce. So we'll see if this stuff has some upside left in it, right, as that reaction was overzealous. But that's pretty much how the VIX it works. It's a reading, it's not a price. It's reading the puts and calls out of the money about a month out, I believe. And that's the way that this data comes up. But you could also say, you know, maybe it's just an increase in them. I maybe have to look at that again. I don't know if this just means more puts were in the market. I have to look at it again, but I know it measures it by measuring the puts and calls out of the money for about a month. IWM for these are just SMA and EMAs, right? But SMA for the 50, SMA for the 200, SMA for the 9. Then my EMA is the 20. I've just used it for a long time. There's not necessarily a reason I only use a 20 EMA. I've just used it for a long time. So I've built trading strategies around what I've used the whole time I've been trading. Pretty much early on, I didn't really when I first started doing technicals, I didn't really understand the complete difference between an SMA and an EMA. So when I had this up and it gave me a 20 EMA, I just started trading around it. And then I've built all my strategies and my thinking around that as well. So that's why I don't necessarily change it. That's why I won't change it, because pretty much my strategies I built with these type of signals, with these type of moving averages. So I don't necessarily want to change that. Does that make sense? So this is the 50 on the 30-minute for the purple, and that is an SMA, NF. Just to make sure that's a clear answer. And we're seeing that start to turn back up. All right, here we go. Let's see if something crazy happens. For the most part, IWM looking pretty decent, which means maybe AMC and GME are looking pretty decent, right? Curling up on MACDs here. See GME curling up on MACDs here, trying to break through. We'll see what happens. We start to curl up on 2-hour charts. Hey, we're curled up. All right, awesome. Hey, we're curled up. Ooh, not yet, but if that can take that back, you could see something crazy going into Friday or next week. Just remember, though, pretty much every single Friday, they try to close AMC by $5 as much as possible. So I still would say I don't want to expect something crazy to happen. I just want to pay attention to the signals and know there's potential for that. But I have to realize if I'm going into a Friday, they could beat up the stock to get it back down to like 497. They've done that almost every single week. I think it's like 90% of the time AMC, even when it sees these big moves, ends up by Friday closing at lower levels. This move here was on a Monday. You notice on Friday, where'd we close? Right around $5. Okay, we go forward a week here on Friday. What do? Well, we close again right around $5. If we kind of look back, pretty much almost every Friday, you're going to see these closing bars around $5. There's it again, $5. So we'll see. Looking good in the what neighborhood? All right, so we still have NVIDIA trying to do some work here. Hasn't curled up yet. The one that has confirmed was Tesla, seeing a pretty solid move there. Tesla, my option now up 35%. And that one was a 2-week play. So Tesla, I was kind of expecting it to be a little quicker. I don't think I wrote that in my notes, but that's definitely why that position is a week sooner. Yeah, it is happening quicker too, so I must have been right. That's good. I need to write down my thoughts because that's pretty important. For Apple here, I don't necessarily want to include that bottom wick. I just want to maybe go like this, right? And then I can see what's happening here at the highs. Well, we're pretty much in like a consolidative area. We're consolidating with a triangle, see if that's able to break through one of those directions. But I don't want a bunch of mess on my chart. I can see it in front of me. Well, technically, if you're an options trader, you're using 100x leverage. So I'm doing options, but still small positions, not anything too crazy. If anything, Tesla is about $1,000, I think, and NVIDIA is, if this curls up, I'll probably apply that to get it up to about a $1,000 trade. See if I can make a couple grand out of this by next week. That's all I'm expecting. See, I'm just expecting a decent week last week. I made my money this week. Now I just want to make a couple grand next week and I'll be happy. And then I can look for the next setup. I can be patient. Getting in Tesla because it's giving me my highest wins in May and July. Awesome. Good luck to you. Make sure we're managing trades out there. And we always got to keep paying attention of what is going on here. What is the goal here as we're sitting outside just above that daily and just above the bottom side monthly? What is the goal here? Trying to think of myself as, if I was the market maker, what would I be trying to do here? Am I trying to convince people to get puts to send the market higher, right? Which is what's kind of happening now. Or am I trying to get people to buy calls by hovering and then send the market actually lower? Well, right now the dollar is starting to drift down. So the dollar is drifting down, which makes sense. IWM seeing pretty much strength, Dow seeing the strength, but kind of hovering. So I just want to see what's going on. We could hover all the way until the end of the day. How much percentage is good to take a loss? It just depends on the setup. It really depends on the setup. It depends on if you're doing a daily, are you doing a 2 hour, are you doing a 30-minute? Well, if I'm doing a daily and I'm waiting for that thing to maybe cross back down on the MACD, I can suffer a lot. I can lose a lot of profit. I can lose a lot of money quickly if that daily is going to turn back around. So maybe I want to manage it on a 2 hour, but it's also a daily. So you're going to see 2 hour pullbacks within daily charts. But if I want to mitigate risk, maybe I, do my management on a 2 hour, see if that's curling over. That way I lose maybe something around 10 to 20% instead of waiting for a daily signal to cross down to get out, where you could lose 50 to like 99% if you wait for that daily to curl down. If you're doing an option trade, that is. So if you're doing a regular trade, for the most part, it's more so hey, if I took this, let's say I took this, okay, I immediately go, okay, maybe I put my stop here. That would be enough if this is just a regular trade, not doing an option. And then as that goes up, I can keep raising that stop loss up if I want. So for now, I would say, hey, 1, 2, pretty good positivity here. Maybe this wick up is what I want to pay attention to. So now I would move my stop loss from here to that wick. We start to head up like this. Okay, then maybe I want my stop loss to be that monthly expected move, because that's where crazy stuff can happen if you break through that. So maybe that's where I want my stop loss to be then. That way I'm always guaranteed to make some money in the trade. That's kind of what I would say. Well, technically an option trade is 100x because you're buying a contract for 100 shares. Yeah, Ty, I hope that was overall like kind of what you're looking for, but something with, if you're not doing options, you can just move that stop up. As far as options goes, the way that I manage the trade is exactly how my Glock works. I'm the safety. I am the thing that I am my stop loss. I have to make a decision. If the 30-minute is crossing up here, so for something like Tesla, okay, 30-minute crossed up, looks pretty good. But what would happen here if the 15-minute crossed over? That'd be bad, right? That'd be bad, right? So if I see this happen, I'm most likely going to be out of that trade for the time being in case something bad happens, even if that's a loss of 15, 20%. And then if that comes down like this and it goes like that, I'll be pretty happy about that. But if it just does this and then turns right back around, I can reapply the position. And it's just more so being smart, because this could have happened, but if this happens, I can get right back into the position if that curls back up. I must say the risk management part of your class was super instructive. A lot of us can find good entries, but it's tricky to click the sell button when things don't go the expected way. That's very, very true. And pretty much what we just told you here is one of the things we're explaining in the course. We just do it very diligently. We try to slow things down, and it's me. I don't slow things down very often. I talk about things pretty quickly, but in the course, we talk about it straight up. What you just got was a 2-minute blurb. In the course, you get it for 20 minutes. I have no problem hitting the sell button. But truly hitting the sell button is known as one of the most psychological hard things to do in trading. It is, because if you're in profit, you're going to go, oh, this is going well, I could make more. If you're not in profit, you could get into the convincing yourself that it can still go up, right? No, NF. I'm not trying to create a channel where people take the trades that I'm taking. I want you to see the setup and make your decision and learn how to trade. I think that's better for you in the long run. Because it's like, what if I'm sick and I'm not live for 3 days? What if I'm sick and I'm not posting to Patreon for 3 days? What if I'm sick? All those things do matter. And so learning the actual skill is what this channel is about. And the skills you need are management of the trade. If you just learn that, right? If you take the course and you only take management of the trade, you have a basic understanding of MACD, RSI, you probably will do better than most traders. I would say you'd probably do better than probably 75% of traders. But I'm not here to create a Discord, get people to take trades and then take trades that I'm in. I'm not here to promote that at all. I'm doing my own trading while trying to teach. So do not take anything I say as a reason to buy something, sell something. That's not what this is about. I want you to understand what momentum is doing and then make your own decisions. Yep. But ever since, I've really come to fully understand how I believe we're seeing these rigged moves, especially in the last year. I've tried to be as blunt as I can with things that I think that have good momentum to the upside, good momentum to the downside. I'm trying to be pretty clear about it when someone gives me a stock to talk about, so that you can understand, hey, this is what a good momentum look is, and then you can make a decision based on that. There's a chance Bitcoin might break. Oh, let's see Bitcoin again. That was seeing a pretty solid move, up 7% now, up 7% now, starting to turn around this daily finally. That is something different we're seeing. Now you're getting a reaction up to the 9. We'll see what happens with that going forward. You can see the 2-hour just curled up and not even overbought yet. So the key areas to pay attention to, probably right in this area here, I think still is a very key level to pay attention to. That is your breakdown level, and you have some bounces in there, so you have a good zone for us to get to. And then see if that's able to either reject, or can we build up to the top of that zone, kind of wind up in it for a little bit and then break out. I think that would be the good look for Bitcoin. But 4 hours turned up, 4 hour turns down, bad things can happen. That's what we need to understand. So we're still paying attention to our risk, a little bit less likely. You're not seeing reversal signals anymore for the downside on the 2 hour for Bitcoin. So Ethereum, cool, lower high, hasn't broken through yet. PCC still remaining at higher levels, VIX still down about 10.5%, and the SPY still hovering, What is the goal here? Is the goal here to get people to believe something like yesterday is going to happen, or is the goal here to pile up right before some resistance here? Is it to pile up, get people to think yesterday is going to happen, and boom? Or is it to hover until people get calls and then send it lower? So we're going to pay attention to PCC pretty closely. Dollar's turning down though. So if anything, that tells you maybe some buying happening here. Thank you, Michaela. Michaela B. Wait, Michelle? Michelle? Michaela? Michelle? Either one, whichever one you are. Thank you. I appreciate you being here as well. Kenny Benny looking for the SPY, breaking through the daily expected move, but you have a reversal signal underneath it, so you do have a time where we can see something a little crazier end outside of these expected moves. Now, you still have to take it with a grain of salt. You have a 68% chance to do that, right? So we still have that. But as of right now, you have a reversal signal. Getting that higher low is important. Crossing up, see if we can break through some levels here. There's a chance Bitcoin might break 60K today. What is that at? 59. There is a chance for it. It's Bitcoin. There's always a chance for that. That's funny though. My niece and nephew were watching me this morning on my live stream. That's awesome. They should watch every day and become little traders. We could have a video every week on kid traders. We should do that. I should give them each like $1,000 and like teach them how to do this and see how they do. Yeah, the course will help pretty much any kind of person, especially swing trading. It will be easier to find those moves during a swing trade. But even if you wanted to, just look for 2-hour setups. Right? 2-hour setups are great. Now you won't see them as often, so you have to pay attention to what's going on a lot of the time. But there are 2-hour setups that show up pretty often here, even for swing trading. But 2-hour, you might have to watch that every other day or so. Probably once a day you want to click in to watch that 2-hour. For the most part, daily trades are going to be the best. But, you know, there are signals to pay attention to. If you wanted to, daily swing trading is great. It still is fantastic. You see this curl up on this MACD right here. Okay, boom, has divergence behind it, swing trade. So if you take both courses, this trade right here was very good. Now it had earnings there, so a little bit rough, but if you're confident with the trade, It makes sense. Apple saves the market most of the time. So Apple does go up a lot of the time. We were talking about the signals here. This is like one of the only times that I've said like, hey, this is a signal where I will potentially play earnings because it is a daily signal. It's daily momentum saying it's upside, and it's Apple. It's a big stock. So if that was going to collapse, that would really collapse the market. So that, taking all that into consideration, daily swing trades are fantastic in my opinion. And you see those setups a lot. So if you really wanted to be safe with it and you work a regular job or something like that, that's perfectly fine. I respect you for it. Here you go. Daily divergence here. What happened when that confirmed? Big upside move. Daily divergence here. What happened when that confirmed? Big upside move. And those can be very profitable. Now, you might only see a few of those every single year that are this good, right? You might only see like one a year that's that good. So that's something to pay attention to. But for now, swing trade would be the most likely option, I would say, for a lot of people who have full-time jobs or something. You just want to see, can we retake that 9? And then can we go to top Bollinger? And then maybe you just say, hey, that's enough profit for me. But the courses will help you with that. We'll tell you how to swing trade and take profit on those. General market turning down. Oh no, let's go see. SPY starting to see some red come in for now. So we'll pay attention to it as of right now, see if that's able to cross back down. If so, we need to get out of some positions. NVIDIA holding up, but if it rejects here, maybe there's some more work to be done, right? So what we could look at here is if the 15-minute crosses, that'd be pretty bad, right? So if the 15-minute crosses, that's pretty bad. That's all we have to say. Tesla, 15-minute crosses, that's still negative. So that's pretty bad, right? Awesome, Maria. That's what's up. I respect you. Keep up the hustle. But we'll see. We shall see. Everything still green. Now, a lot of the time, what are you going to do? Well, we could use that move as support. We'll see what happens from here. We just want to see if that is rotating back down. That curls over at any time, breaks through these moving averages. You could make that stronger base still. Maybe it needs more liquidity for the big move. So now we're kind of like looking at this from a pray for our portfolios, yes. So now we're just looking at this from a, hey, we have trades. Now we need to manage those trades. We need to look, do I have IWM? Do I have Qs? Do I have Apple? Do I have whatever? And then if this stuff starts to cross down, we need to make sure, hey, we need to manage some trades here just in case something bad happens. If they turn back up, awesome. They haven't turned down yet. See if we use this upside as some kind of support. And when you break through a key zone, just remember this, when you break through a key zone, just like over here, what do? We break through the zone. Actually, we break through the zone, we come down into it, we head higher, we come down into it, we head higher. So we come up, we come down into it, we head higher. That could happen here. So this could be brief, but we'll be paying attention to it closely and looking at if people are getting overzealous to the call side or something like that. It has had a lot of time down in this area. So let me connect some things here just in case. What's the structure look like? Oh, baby girl woke up from her nap. That's good. She's up there playing. There is some structure kind of slanted here. So we'll see if this is able to break down if that does cross over. Right now, I don't think that's the most probable thing. Can we take a look at Coinbase? Coinbase, I'm assuming, should have a good day since Bitcoin's having a good day. There you go. Coinbase now up 6.6%. This probably does have the 30-minute signal. You see the dramatic divergence here. So that can turn up 2-hour charts. So we could be experiencing a 2-hour bounce. And that's kind of what's being said here. Small divergence on the 2-hour. Wouldn't expect this to have to be the biggest reversal, but it could come up and test something like 210, 214. As this stuff keeps confirming, that can happen. I feel like it's a battle of groceries are expensive. Can I even buy this dip kind of deal? Hey, I get that. Groceries are expensive. 17% more expensive than the last time we bought groceries here, actually. So, but if groceries are inflating more, if housing inflates more and everything, then you would expect some assets to inflate more. Puts are rising again. Do they really? Like, we have so many puts still. See if this 30-minute for the volatility can turn up as well. Qs were stronger. Qs back within the monthly as well. I might watch this for a minute. Natural gas? Ooh, natural gas seeing some upside there. Divergence on the 2-hour. Kind of multiple point, big divergences here on the 2-hour. So what you'd say from here is this was the actual time where it said, hey, I'm heading to the upside. Now you're seeing that upside. Can the daily turn around? It already has. So you're experiencing a daily bounce. That can run into resistance here. That can probably run into resistance anywhere in this area up here as well. So that's what I'd be paying attention to for now as that daily has curled up. See if that daily curls up. Maybe it takes some time, right? And then see if there's reversal signals in it. If you want to pay attention to the near price action, looking at the 2-hour, getting towards overbought territory. So we could experience some kind of 30-minute pullback. We might have already experienced some kind of cup and handle. So if that breaks to the upside, maybe upside is going to be a big move as that daily starts to take over. So if you would have asked me pretty much like 48 hours ago, I probably would have said, hey, yeah, upside potential. Now I'd be thinking, ooh, maybe there's a 30-minute pullback coming if this sees another upward move. Something like 1524. If we get all the way up there, then that's probably where you pull back from. I feel like a video 30-minute, 2-hour can cross up even though it's really close if it holds. I don't know if no, you're looking at it right. It's pretty much, it's very close, right? It's kissing. Looks like it could happen. But what you do, and you're running into the zone. We run into the zone, that's where we're gonna have trouble. So that's why you're probably having some trouble now. You really need to confirm this to the upward direction. Just like Tesla, we need to really confirm this in the upward direction, get past this zone way up here. We will be coming back and doing a closing stream at the end of the day, just so you are aware. So make sure to like so that you guys can make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you guys can join us later this afternoon. And then we are going to see what happens by the end of the day. Look at that last hour, see what happens. For the most part, we want to be paying attention to the last hour, and then I'll put out a YouTube video tonight seeing what happened with these signals and if there's some good options or some good options for some opportunities. That's what I was mainly going to say. Cool, cool. Meta confirming up. Let's see if that unconfirms. AMD confirming up. Let's see if that unconfirms. Microsoft confirming up. Google rejecting. PCC still high. Pretty damn high. See how volatility really messes with people. We see these dramatic. Everyone wants to call the downside too. Notice that. Notice we don't see like big things come down to like 0.5 or something like that. It's always people wanting to call the crash right now. Seems like that's happening again today. Hippie girl is just squealing. Looked at a bunch of channels, but yours taught me the most. Just wish I found out about you before I went balls deep and lost my money. Hey, that's okay, Daniel Lee. Hey, you got to say this. At least you found it. At least you found it. Now you have the. Hopefully, you have some opportunity to take some good trade setups and start being in the right direction to the upside, right? Yeah, that's why I try to control my own stops in options trades at least. Sold my Tesla at break even. I'm holding it. I'm holding it. I'm still up a tiny, tiny bit. I haven't really seen like 15-minute crossovers or anything to convince me like, hey, this market has to come down. See, we're just seeming to use daily expected moves as support right now. We'll see if we lose that crossover on 15 minutes. Hey, that's okay. If you have a bad feeling about it, that's perfectly fine. You know what your risk is in that trade now? 0. Coin's seeing that upside just because Bitcoin's seeing the upside. We talked about that a little bit ago, but for coin, seeing some good upside here. Mainly just paying attention to, I believe it was a 2-hour chart able to cross up. And so now you're crossed up. Can you keep going? That's kind of the question, right? Because the 30-minute, you saw the divergence. The point was here. Okay, we'll see if that can continue to see some positivity on that 2-hour for a big bounce. That's pretty much all I'm looking at here. But Bitcoin kind of gave the signal. Said, hey, if Bitcoin sees positivity, coin, Mara, I'm assuming Mara's up. Let's go look. Yeah, Mara up. So confirming some upside here. Potential divergence there too. Well, then you're hoping for some upside for coin, huh? Did people go still on the put side? Can we look at Palantir? Yeah, Palantir, if that can cross up on the 30-minute, looks like it's trying to. It's trying to break through some key areas here. That's pretty good. Go up into the next liquidity area. So something like $29.50, $30. Yeah, I'd say $29.50 right at these levels here. $29.18, $29.20. Wanted to average down. Yeah, I get that. Mainly just want to see what the Qs are doing and then flash over and just see if volatility is still down 10.5%. The 10-to-1 split did happen. I believe that has a similar signal to Bitcoin. It's confirmation that momentum is shifting in a different direction. So it's the buying pressure is going higher here, and once it goes positive, it says that's really starting to amplify up. You notice that we're doing that right before we break through key resistance. Where are we? Right by that center line. If that can go positive, that's where you could have the potential to break through. So this is where you really want to pay attention. But pretty much when you're heading down, that means bad things in negative territory. That curls up. Hey, something different is happening here. While it's negative, you want to say, okay, this is a bounce and momentum shifting up for a little bit. If that goes positive, then you want to say, okay, momentum's going into a positive trend. Alrighty. The bug. Oh, I don't know why I said bug. Sunrun. Uh-oh. Is this a daily swing trade thing? I mean, it says more upside. You just have some divergence points here. Not the best look for a trade setup, in my opinion, but yeah, not the best trade setup. Just not the best look for a clear-cut trade. For the most part, you would say, hey, okay, we're coming up to a point where we broke down. Is that going to cup and handle out? Is this all a big cup and handle in some way? Is this able to break through the high? If not, you might have divergence up here, and that could be a double top. So in one scenario, it's, hey, is this some kind of way to go higher, or is this going to be a double top and we actually start to break this low? So you break this high, probably some good things happening. You break this low, probably some bad things happening. That's kind of how I look at this one. Not the best technical look here for a trade setup, in my opinion. Kind of a way up, way down type of stock right now, not really leaning towards either direction. But you would say positive trend, so I guess you would say the direction here in a positive trend could be upside until that changes. And SPY starting to head to the upside just a little bit here. PCC remains high. NVIDIA trying to cross up on the MACD as of right now. I have some longer dated options for last month, so just wondering, appreciate it. Yeah, it's not the best look in the world. I don't want to lie to you and tell you everything's great, but you start to see breaks through that high, you can head higher. That daily is crossing, right? That daily's up. So it makes sense, but to say it's like the best look in the world it just wouldn't be truthful. But I wish you luck in the trade. I almost typed bug, that's why I did it, because your name was Bug a what? Okay, NVIDIA out 1.3 at 103. Okay, leaving some running. I like it. Of course. I'm not here to fluff you up, you know what I mean? Can't fluff you up. Then you could maybe not see momentum correctly. You'd have a hard time learning if I fluffed it up. I want to tell you, hey, this is the type when if you see it, it's not necessarily the most clear. Maybe wait for another one that you like that's a little bit more clear. That's what I like to do. I like to see things very, very clearly. I think we're seeing it pretty clearly for NVIDIA and Tesla right now. I actually think Abu has the day off, so we might get a babysitter today and be able to go to lunch. That sounds awesome. I want lunch. What do you think about Apple? Let's go check on Apple. Apple's a little bit of a different take. So for Apple, you can kind of see how price is getting tight, right? You see this, price is getting tight. So you're expecting a big move in one direction. If that curls down, that direction might be down, okay? But if you start to break through this level, that direction could be to the upside. You see some cupping, some handling. All right, we head to the upside. That'd be awesome. Let's see the 2 hour. 2 hour is crossing up as of right now. So as of right now, you would say 2 hour bounce is the most likely scenario in about 45 seconds. Even though it doesn't look like the best bar in the world, that is technically a positive bar, plus 1.15% and crossing up on a 2 hour. So I'd really be looking at this 30-minute, making sure that doesn't rotate down. But if you break to the upside, you can see a pretty strong move, maybe to go fill a gap or something like that. Yeah, Daniel, there you go. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, and you can always type in the chat what your thinking is. If someone asks a question, you can try your best to explain what's going on as well. It might help you in processing things in your brain. It helps to write stuff down, to type things out. It does help. How's Lulu looking? Lulu's crossing up on a 30-minute, trying to give you that higher low. So with that higher low, you want to see 2 hour is confirmed up. We have divergence below it, so this can start to head to the upside as that 30-minute does cross to the upside. Is this thing shifting? Yeah, it's kind of holding while calculates the next bar for a second. So if that 30-minute crosses down, bad things can happen. You really haven't taken out the high or anything like that. So let's make sure this is a positive trend by seeing, we probably need a bigger upside move to really see this be like confirmed positive trend. But you did have 2 hour divergence below it. So when you have 2 hour divergence, what's the daily doing? If the daily crosses up, ooh, you might see a good move. You've had some big divergences for a while. Maybe we go retest the 20, maybe we go retest the 50, maybe we retest the breakdown area right in this area here towards 270. That can definitely be possible with this kind of look, but as you are on the daily scale, you see that kind of flagginess. You just want to be cautious with it. Anytime that 30-minute rotates down, just know managing the risk is usually always, in my case, it's always the right play. Unless you have just a gut feeling, but you have to know you're not going to manage the trade, you got to take accountability at that point. So I'm more so not trying to make a bunch of money. I want to see that 30-minute divergence. I want to see that 2 hour cross up for a day or so, and I want to make my money, right? Now, if I know I'm holding something for a longer period of time, I know I'm going to have to go through more things, more emotions and things like that. So I want to have a good idea in mind of how to get out. So if I see a 30-minute divergence and I see a 2 hour divergence at the same time, I just go, okay, whenever that 30-minute curls over, if it's an extremely positive move, like let's just say right now with NVIDIA, let's say NVIDIA goes like this, just crazy move to the upside, right? Let's just say it goes up to 110. And then I just go, okay, that's plenty of money. Let me take some profit because there will be a pullback eventually and see if this actually does something like this. So if this MACD gets really high up, maybe up here towards this reading of like a 2, and then I see it go up like this, and then I see that start to curl over or something like that, or maybe I just like the amount of money that I've made, awesome. I'll take some off the table to leave those runners, and then if I do experience that pullback, then I can say, okay, let me manage that trade for a second, and then if that curls back up, then I can reapply that position in more of a swing trade style. So learning swing trading and the kind of technical indication course, both of those courses together, you will be one of the most powerful traders if you can understand both to a T. Because then you can have the initial trade, right? The highly probable reversal trade into the technical trade, the swing trading trade. Be pretty awesome. Nike, we can look at that for a brief moment here. Sorry, my dog was running around. Crossing up on the 30-minute, you break through. Well, this kind of looks like cup and handling to me. All right, let's see. Or if anything, you could say maybe it is some form of head and shoulders. So if you can break through this level, I think a good move is coming. Let's look at this from a 2-hour perspective as these lows down here look like divergence. They are. Okay, we have triple divergence pretty much across down here, double bottom. So if that 2-hour going positive right now, if you can break through this level, you break through this level, hey, you might be in a big positive trend on the 2-hour. We could see a couple weeks or maybe a week or two worth of positivity if that's able to break through these highs. That's what I'm seeing for Nike. Looks like the triple divergence was something to pay attention to, but you had to manage the trade, right? Managing the trade's good. Awesome, because you do consolidate sometimes when you do cross. So we consolidated. Now it's crossing up again saying, hey, I do have another chance to head to the upside. And I never really got overbought. SPY, we are bottling up here. People are not shifting to the call side. And the dollar has dropped off. So see the Dow holding like that as well. IWM holding like that as well. So everything kind of just holding up by their daily expected move. For NVIDIA, I'm more so, I really want to see if this can make it to 120, but most likely if I do see like a big move, I will take some profit and just leave the runners. I'm going to make sure I make money in the move, right? An amount of money that I like. That's kind of how I treat it. Hey, I'd like to make at least $500 with this. So if that ever got up to where it's worth, you know, where I can make $500 and I just want to leave a couple contracts behind in case something even crazier happens, awesome, I can do that. So more so looking at the top of the channel right now. You see the channel we're kind of in? Looking at the top of the channel because that's where we're probably likely to see the first pullback, and then we can see if that next upward move comes. All right, guys, well, it is 10:35 over here, so I do have to hop off for a little bit. I'm going to spend some time with my girls, but I will be back on for a live stream at the end of the day, and hopefully I think I have enough time to put out a YouTube video tonight, so that's what I'll be doing. Thank you guys for joining. Please, if you do have more questions about other stocks, just join us for the live stream later. We can talk about it in a little bit, but I just want you to pay attention to the reversal signals that you are seeing at this moment. Some from NVIDIA, some from things like Tesla, some from things like the actual market curling up with a higher low. We just have to see if those things make sure they are not rolling back down. But as of right now, I think you have a higher probability of seeing actual upside. We'll see if that changes by the afternoon. If this PCC really starts to drop off dramatically, the dollar starts to increase while the market's increasing. Those are all signals to pay attention to. Pay attention if volatility curls back up, right? Those are good things to have in mind as this is potential to break through key areas, but we have rolled down from daily expected moves a lot, so I understand if you think this is maybe some kind of ABC or something like that, that makes sense. So just pay attention to your signals closely. Trade like water and you'll be just fine. Make sure to manage those trades out there and have a good time. So thank you guys so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. I'll be back later this afternoon. Make sure you're liking, subscribing. Make sure those notifications on so you can join us. If you don't see it, if there's an hour left in the day for the market and you're not seeing the live video up, just go into my channel. Sometimes people are having some funkiness finding my channel. So we'll talk about some things later this afternoon, but I just want to say thank you guys for joining today, and I wish you guys nothing but luck with your trades, all right? I'll see you guys this afternoon. Peace out. And I'm going to leave this up just for a little bit so you guys can chat back and forth. You correlate with SPY, the key moving, trying to wrap my head around it. So how it wraps around it. So when you buy, Aaron, David, when you buy a stock, what are you doing? You're trading cash, you're trading dollars for a stock. So that would mean you're going out of the dollar, you're uninvesting in the dollar, and you're investing in a stock. So what does that mean for your cash value of your portfolio? Your cash value of your portfolio goes down. So when the dollar actually goes down, that means that people might be investing into riskier assets such as stocks, such as Bitcoin, other things like that. So you want to pay attention to that. The correct correlation is if the dollar is coming down, most likely the SPY or the Qs should be heading up. If you see a difference in that, that's what we pay attention to on this channel, because that could mean something's happening behind the curtain that we're not necessarily seeing. So even though we have this good price action, we're holding above the daily, we're getting back within monthlies, we still have to realize that the dollar is positive while the SPY is positive at the same time, meaning there could have been some small insider selling or something like that. So that is something to pay attention to, but for the most part, you want to say these are good moves, I'm seeing good signals, and the PCC is still high. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll talk again this afternoon.